The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Not yet. We had the Clash earlier this week. Really exciting race, surprisingly. So I'm actually looking forward to Daytona. Draft model's a little bit different this time around. We're going to be a little bit more lined up, so to speak. But I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting a new Impasse season under the books and looking forward to starting this series tonight as well.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of excitement. Everybody's kind of pent up from the off season, and I think, Cisco, they're going to let it fly here tonight. So this should be pretty exciting.
Yep, there we go. And yeah, no, plenty of racing action to come here from Daytona, and looking forward to it for sure. But of course, the big news, Nolan, is that prize package going into tonight. Lots of money on the line at the end of the season, as well as per segment in this series. They're going to be paying out per segment, as well as of course the top 4 champions. So lots of money on the line, trophies. It's all gotten one step above what we had one season ago.
Yeah, the $1,800 in prize, man, that's a big pool. I mean, it really is. I mean, next to the top series, I don't think you're going to find another series out in the business that offers so much prize money. So we've got some big names coming out tonight. I wish I'd have known about it. I might be competing in this thing, but yeah, a lot of money on the line. A lot of tempers are going to flare when you're racing for money. Things are just a little bit different.
And of course, you know, with the off season, Steve, this has allowed, you know, a lot of team shakeup. And now that we have my mic working, you know, that'll help a little bit as well. But of course, the team aspect to Daytona is something huge. Of course, you want to draft with your teammates, make sure you can get everybody from that team performing well. And it's definitely going to be key here tonight, you know, getting that strategy down and working with your teammates.
A lot of R&D, a lot of strategy, trying to figure out what it's going to take the checkered flag here. But you said it, teammates are going to be the key here. But because this is the first race of the year, Cisco, you have to wonder, you know, those teammates are trying to figure out what it's going to take to get the checkered tonight. But there could be new drivers and new teams, new drivers on different teams. So we're going to figure out how that all gels together here tonight.
Yeah, of course, lots of newer team and team dynamics going on tonight. And right now, 41 cars getting ready to hit the grid here at Daytona. But Nolan, one of the biggest aspects here, which is a little bit bespoke of what we saw last season. Of course, 2017 was dominated by one team, Aegis Motorsports. And this year, they come back with nearly 3 groups of 4 cars each. So you almost got 3 teams worth of theirs. But during the offseason, there was working together. People were figuring out deals to try and combat that. So we have a contingent out of the Friday Night Super Speedway Cup guys, and they have their own team consisting of drivers like Rod Flagg, Harry Tiller, Seth the Merchant, Rodney Wofford, as well as other notable drivers in that. And then, of course, you have what I think could be one of the biggest power shifts in RSR this season with Austin Coop, Gabe Wood, Michael Guerrilla, Braden Whitaker, and David Comstock all working together over at Caribou Racing. Of course, David Comstock, the 2017 RSR Full Throttle Cup Series champion, and looking to go back-to-back this season as well.
Yeah, Caribou Racing looks extremely strong, and I think they win extra points for team name. I love that team name. SS Racing is going to have 7 competitors here tonight. And it's a big advantage to have as many cars as you can have, especially in these plate races. Now, when we move to Atlanta next week, things are going to change. You're going to see probably some different people at the front. But these plate races, the more guys you've got working with you in these races, it's paramount. It's everything, especially with the draft model the way it is. You're going to have to let people in line in certain situations. We're probably going to be running the bottom, I would assume, for a little bit in the beginning of the race. Maybe not a majority, but at least for the first quarter of the race, I would say. That's what I'd like to do if I was in the race. And you know, there's a lot of give and take, I think, early in these stages, because if you get pushed to the outside, you really have a possibility to drop a lot of spaces early on. So hopefully the teams can work together. I think the more people you've got on your team, the better shape you're in, especially at a plate race like we are here at Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the clock strikes 0 here on the practice session here, we're going to run you through your LSRTV starting grid here from Daytona in the first race of the season. Tommy Ryan got the pole last week in single car qualifying. He'll start on the inside. And Rod Flagg, the owner of Super Speedway Cup, as well as one of the premier plate track drivers on the sim, he's going to start second on the outside pole. Third place going to go to Spencer Preet, teammate to the driver of the 23. Carl Shedd, the first of your Aegis driver, is going to start 4th. 5th place going to go to Brandon Bowie's always a threat in that machine. Nick Silver, new colors for the number 24, going to start 6th. 7th going to go to Ross Cato. 8th going to go to Daniel Falkingham. 9th going to go to Lionel Callisto, and Kobe Buck rounds out your top 10. 11th going to go to Chris Hurlow. 12th to Eric Stanford. 13th place going to go to Randy Yoakum. 14th to Kyle Kamer. 15th going to go to Seth the Merchant. 16th to Gabe Woods. 17th going to go to Chris Gillen. 18th going to go to Andrew Freenars. 19th to Sean Castro, new number for him. And 20th is Shane Stanley Air. 21st going to go to Dylan Jones. 22nd to Chris Parkman. 23rd going to go to Drew Adamson, one of the drivers out of the Beast Racing stable. 24th to Tom Moreno. 25th to Shane Ewing. 26th Rodney Wofford. 27th Mike Taylor. AJ Browning 28th. 29th Dwayne Vincent. David Washington rounds out your top 30. And as we pace around this Daytona International Speedway, Steve, so many characteristics to this track, and definitely a track on its own, very different from places like Talladega or even the 2-milers like Michigan.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you think about you know, the tight confines compared to a place like Talladega. Not quite as much room to race, and you can't necessarily go 3-4 wide without having some on the edge of your seat moments, and I think we're going to see a lot of those here.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're definitely looking forward to the thrills and the spills here from Daytona, and we just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Over 50 people already on YouTube, 60 people tuning in here for the RSR kickoff here on LSR TV as the pace car makes its way out of turn number 4. The field going to be in the hands of Tommy Ryan, and the Northern Tools Equipment Chevrolet going to pull away and take the American Ethanol green flag as we go for 100 laps at Daytona.
Tommy Ryan with a great start. He's going to go ahead and pull the 23. The 23 car, like I said, I don't think the outside is going to be super strong early race, and people are going to try to filter down, I would assume. Big gap between that 4th place competitor, and he's going to pull down and take that and leave the 23 car out to dry on the outside.
Yeah, Rod Flag going to drop back early on here, Steve, and 3 cars up on the outside, and they're going to need a little bit more help if they're going to hope to make things happen. The McDonald's entry, it looked like, of Daniel Falkingham up on the top side, following the Pops car of Nick Silver as they head into turn number 3 for your first time around the circuit. And that top line rot not really getting a whole lot of speed going right now as they come out onto the short stretch to get to the start-finish line. Right now, it looks like Tommy Ryan going to lead the field for the first lap.
Tommy Ryan's in the lead, big lead at this point. The 23 cars, obviously, like I had kind of speculated, Rod Flag has really kind of dropped back a little bit. Didn't have a lot of help on the outside. Matter of fact, there's not many cars left on the outside. Everybody's filtering down all the way back, 10th, 15th position. Everybody's getting down. Everybody wants to be on that bottom line because we know it's the fastest. It's a long race. It's 100 laps. We've got plenty of time to make some moves. So let's hold on the bottom. Let's get as many positions as we can early race. And let's just run a nice, calm race. That's what these guys are trying to do. It's what we did in the Clash. I'm assuming that's what we're going to see in Impasse. And, it's what we saw most of the week in NIS for that matter, too. So it's kind of the meta now with the new draft model.
Just cruise and don't get into too many incidents here early on. A little bit of battling going on around Christian Peterson, I should say that's Seth the Merchant in Peterson Irrigation colors. Oh boy, I'm going to mess that up a couple times tonight. He's up on the top side with the 24 Nick Silver, trying to make something happen up there. There's not a whole lot of luck going for them as they come out of turn number 2 this time. 59 car, meanwhile, down on the inside. That's Chris Gillum, another new driver to this series, trying to make it happen. The 88 of Andrew Freenar's number change for him. Well, actually, no, he's been the same number, just a little bit different looking color. We're used to seeing the nationwide colors on board that car, but different sponsor on that machine this evening. The Daytona scheme. This is, of course, the Daytona bridge on the hood of the car. To come out of turn number 4, and Rod Flag dropping to the inside early, and maybe possible strategy or something going wrong on the 23 as he heads to pit road. Nolan, that is definitely out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it was obviously scheduled in some manner. He pulled down very cautiously, took the pit stop. He's coming down on the speed limit. The baseline strategy.
And missed his stall, too.
Yeah, he pulls right through. Doesn't make much sense. Yeah, bit uncharacteristic. Could have maybe taken the apron there. Maybe he got pushed down and he just wanted to play it safe. But if that's the case, good on him. If not, maybe he just missed his pit stall. I don't know. The baseline strategy should be 40-40-20. So it doesn't make a lot of sense right now to pit.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to cost Rod Flag early on. Your outside pole setter falls back out of the draft, is going to be running in 40th position. You see Eric Stanford back there as well, the 19 car going past him and gaining a position there. So Rod at the rear of your field as we head back into turn number 1. And side by side right now, Christopher Erlo in the 87, new team for him. And we weren't sure if he was going to come back, but talked to us, said, yo, yeah, I'm coming back. So Chris Hurlow back once again, and like I said, new teammates, new look for that 87 car. Usually used to seeing him in the Chevrolet in the bow tie, but he's got the Ford Fusion out there now, and definitely, you can tell he's got a teammate right in front of him though, Nolan, because the 97 Lionel Kalisto, it makes it easy for us. They got the same paint scheme.
Yeah, I like that. I like the good looking paint scheme too at that, and I really like the Ford emblem on the front of that car. Get rid of that bow tie.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of...
I'm a little biased. I run the Ford myself, so...
Yeah, early on here, and a lot of Ford ovals, blue ovals in this field here tonight, and definitely a lot of that also coming out of the Aegis camp, and that story comes from David Washington, actually, who is always the Ford. He used to drive the Camry way back in the day, like in 2014, and then he switched to the Ford, and he at least thinks that there's an inherent advantage to the car. Nolan, I'm not sure about that, but nonetheless, Aegis has always run Fords ever since. Right now, Dave, one of the runner-ups in your championship last season, running back in the 30th position, staying way out of the draft. These guys waiting, they're just in the back waiting. We don't have to worry about stages, so they just need to keep their cars nice and clean early on.
Yeah, and I agree completely with that call. You've got the 24 of Nick Silver on the outside, and then you've still got the 57 of the Merchant on the outside up front. I'm amazed they're actually able to hold as much as they are. I'm surprised they haven't fallen back any. But outside of that, basically the entire field, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 cars occasionally pulling to the outside to try to make something happen, is running this bottom line. It's just the nature of the beast. There's no need in getting in a big hurry yet. The thing about it is, though, is if you're back there in that 30th position or you're back there in that 25th position, I think you might as well go ahead and start trying to make some moves early, start trying to build some relationships with some guys who are willing to work with you on the outside, because those guys that are willing to work on the outside are going to be few and far between. So when you find guys that are willing to make stuff happen, you need to take care of them.
Yeah, now to the outside goes the 43 of Brandon Bowie, and familiar colors on that Chevrolet. It's not the Camaro quite yet, but it's very, very reminiscent of the car that Bubba Wallace ran just one day ago over in Daytona. Brought that car home to a second place finish up on the top side, trying to get around Spencer Preet, the driver of the 37, the only car right now out of your SS Racing stable, apart from Seth the Merchant, trying to make things happen on the bottom. Has led absolutely every lap so far, and a lot of that's come down to the help that Preet's been giving him into the beginning of this race here.
You can really see the strength right now of Pete. Yeah, you got 3 cars on the top. The 45 car of Carl Shedd is just a little bit far back, so that's really a 2-car versus a 3-car draft battle here for the most part. I mean, it's such a big gap. You've almost got 2 car lengths in between, so you really get to see the strength of the 37 and the 99 of Tommy Ryan really try to hold off this outside pass, because I'm assuming you're in that position, you're in second place, your car is probably on the verge of overheating, so you're pushing, you're pulling out, you're pushing, you're pulling out, and they've got just enough pace to hold that outside line in check. By the time the 45 car gets back up to him, which eventually he will, it looks like it's going to happen sooner rather than later, I think that outside line will kind of drift back to where they were. But yeah, big push on the outside. Those cars on the outside look really good, really fast race cars to be able to hold this, to hold up to the leaders as well as they are.
And I think if we saw a couple more of the super speedway guys up there on the top side, the SS Racing drivers, we'd probably be seeing them trying to mix things up and everything. And I went to go find him because I was curious where he was. Running the Good Wrench colors tonight. Rodney Wofford, the driver of the 3, has had so much success as of late in the Super Speedway Cup Series. He's, of course, made the invasion over with everybody else out of that camp. And meanwhile, battle for the lead. We'll leave that point for a moment. It's Bowie on the top side with help from Silver and Seth the Merchant.
Silver giving him a big push down the backstretch, right on that bumper. That's perfect. That's perfect draft work. That's exactly what you need to do as the leader. You actually want to lift a little bit for that 24 car to let him get right up against that bumper. They did a great job. The 99 is going to pull it back, coming through 4 though, and without a lot of help on the bottom right now, they're pretty spread out still. Once again, Chad and Carl has just not been able to pull up to the 37 car of Peart. So that's really hurting that bottom line right now.
Yeah, and Preet finally back to the back bumper with Tommy Ryan, but it's too late now because Brandon Bowie now in control of that bottom line, slides to the top of the field there on that bottom line. And I was looking for a couple of your other drivers here and where they're at, and a lot of drivers actually in the back early on. You said you liked the call. I can't say I blame you. We got Dwayne Vincent starting that group in 28th, then you got Dave Washington, Shane Parrish, Dan Eberhardt. That's 3 Aegis drivers, 4 Aegis guys actually, as Dwayne's been working with them. Then you got Guerrilla in that 17 car, kind of the lone guy out of there. Harry Tiller out of the SS camp. You got David Comstock, teammate tonight, at least for now, to Michael Guerrilla. Shane Ewing back there in the 32. It's Jeff Ward, Scott Walter, and then the Beast Racing drivers even further back. Mike Taylor, Drew Adamson have completely lost this pack as well. They want to stay way out of any sort of incidents early on. Can't say I blame them, Nolan. We've seen Speed Weeks in 2018. I do not blame them.
Yeah, they're insane a lot of times. They really are. And just back to the lead pack. Nick Silver in that 24 car pushed our new leader all the way to the front, and now look back. He's all the way back down into 6th, probably going to drop to 7th, maybe even 8th, 9th position here, but before he has a chance to get down. He's got an opportunity in front of the 97, but it's just so hard to get back down into that bottom groove when you lose that opportunity, and you got to take it when you can. He finally has an opportunity to do so. He's going to drop all the way back to 10th position.
And going back to Steve-O now, everybody's starting to go single file right now, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that we aren't stage racing here, so we don't have to worry too much about everybody trashing all their equipment early on, and a lot of these guys taking the initiative to just kind of ride here for a little bit and wait and see how the race unfolds.
Well, I think these guys might be taking a little bit of a hint of some things that we've seen at this year's Speed Weeks. That it is going to take some patience to make sure that you're there at the end to make a move to try and win this race. And what a move there for the 24 machine to try and get back in the line. Silver could have lost a ton of positions had he not been able to get back in the line.
Yeah, and you talked a bit about the draft package here, Nolan, and not quite what we saw in Speed Weeks because, of course, we don't have the same ride heights they do. We still have that minimum required ride height. We can't just drop these things and scrape them on the ground quite yet. Might get that hopefully in March, but nonetheless, maybe means that these cars are a little bit easier to handle than what we saw on Sunday.
I personally find them to be one of the easier cars to drive that we've had in the last few years in terms of single car positioning. In terms of drafting, it's very, very difficult. I think a lot of times you almost just have to be completely cutthroat. You've got to slice it in at the absolute last second. You got to make moves where no moves are really available a lot of times. So it's a bit unfortunate in that regard, but it's a lot of fun. I think if you get a really, really good group on the outside, to work the outside, you have to have a minimum, in my opinion, 5, 6, 7 really, really, really strong cars to make it work, which for us in Impasse is going to be a bit of an issue. I think it's going to put a big emphasis on qualifying. You know, here these guys are already running. I think if you're back, like I said, if you're back in that 20th position, you really need to make those relationships right now with guys who are willing to make a move to the outside because it's so difficult. And if you don't build that relationship early in the race, when it comes time to actually make a move towards the end, who are you going to trust? You know, you're not going to know. So make some moves now. Maybe take a few chances, see who's willing to work with you, and then maybe you can build some relationships for the end of the race.
And Steve-O, of course, one of the big things here that we have, because we have it on the iRacing service, is the fact that you can go to that driver you're in front of, or the driver behind you, and say, hey, you want to work together? It's something that we used to see back in the tandem days, way back when, but it's always been a feature here on iRacing just because of the online nature of the racing. So these guys can go. They don't have to be on the same TeamSpeak frequency. Just have to DM the other driver and say, hey, you want to do something?
Well, and I think that that's going to be key later on in the race. To Nolan's point, I think he's absolutely right. You have to kind of develop that relationship early in the race. But yeah, for later on, that whole communication piece to it is going to be key here later on.
Yeah, it is, and we're kind of looking at this second pack here because they're getting a little bit dicey here. It looks like they're starting to get single file, and the problem with getting all side by side like they were, Nolan, is, well, they're losing time. Austin Coop is now at the head of this pack. As we look off the roof cam of him, now 2.5 seconds behind the pack in front of him. So that's your gap there, and that's what happens when you start to go side by side. And we kind of have a second break-off pack here because being led by that number 88 of Andrew Freenars, this is another kind of pack that's broken off from the main group, and it's not quite to the same extent that that other pack is, but they're starting to lose time here because they're going a little bit side by side.
Yeah, they're losing time, and this is, I'd say you need to make relationships, but there's also a time when you need to pair up and really kind of bear down and try to catch the field back up. This is one of those situations. Right now you've got a situation with Andrew in the 88 car, probably just a little bit too far in front of Shane in the 95. He actually needs to back up a little bit, maybe try to just work together to get some speed out of that car to catch the field back up. But yeah, I mean, the guys on the outside right here, like I said, you want to build a relationship, but at the same time, if you've lost the main pack, it's really important to get back on. But that's once again, it's part of the new draft model. If you're the rear car and you don't have someone who's willing to lift for you, it's sometimes almost virtually impossible to stick with the group in front. And that's probably exactly what's happened with Andrew. The guy in front left him, he drifted off, and then he finally got some help from the 95. But right now, the 95 is not able to help him because the 88's just got too much raw speed. So he's got to close that gap a little bit. They got to get a little bit tighter, and maybe they'll pick up a little bit more speed.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can start to work together. Two very much not teammates between Shane Stanley-Air, who made his debut in RSR during the Icebreaker Winter Series. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him in the Cup cars, but you can see him trying to work together with Andrew Freenars, who captured the championship in the Icebreaker Winter Series just about 2 weeks ago or so, I should say. But very, very spaced out right now. Very, very calm. It's the calm before the storm, Steve, because pit stops we're expecting, as Nolan laid out for us early, it's going to be about 40 laps on a tank of fuel or so. We see the same sort of calculations on Friday nights as well. That means these guys are going to be a two-stop strategy, and that means you can kind of cut it any way you want. If you want to do 40-20-40, if you want to do 40-40-20, if you want to do 20-40-40, whatever you want to do, you can start messing around with that as you see fit.
Absolutely, and we're about halfway through that fuel run right now, coming up here on lap number 20. So, these guys are going to start making those decisions on how they're going to play that, the 40-40-20 or 40-20-40. Regardless, we're about halfway there before they start making those.
Yeah, start making those pit stops for sure. And we're starting to see, I think I see it off in the distance, Nolan, in the picture. I think that's a couple lap cars we're starting to catch here, and really continuing to lead your field. But let's take a look. Who is that off the nose of these cars? It's Ron Flagg and it's Eric Stanford. So those two drivers we saw drop back. I'm not sure what happened in the 19. We saw what happened though with the 23, and because there wasn't a caution here, Nolan, it's gone in basically the worst way it could have, because Rod and Eric at this point going to be so completely just out of the draft here.
Well, they are. I think it's a godsend that the 19, in some manner, which we're unaware of, obviously, has fallen to the back. You know, he's pretty much saved Rod at this point in the 23 car. He's picked up his pace. Maybe their pace is going to be quick enough when the lead pack get there that the lead pack's willing to work with them. I doubt it. But if they hold the bottom, you know, the outside line's going to have to make a move to the outside. Maybe they can get the lucky dog. Maybe the outside line won't even be able to get the pass done, and they'll be forced to push the 23 and the 19. So that's what you have to do is the 23 and the 19 here. You have to hold the bottom. It's maybe not the nicest thing in the world to do, but unless you just want your race to go up in flames, that's the only thing you can do.
We'll have to see. The other thing that could be a possibility, Steve, if these guys stay high, someone like a Tommy Reiner or Spencer Preet could take advantage of that, use that cross draft up on the top side and try and mix things up with the lead and try and steal that away here.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're watching guys here at the head of the pack, and I see these guys coming up on the lap cars, and I do wonder who is going to potentially step out here and try and make a move. Yes, we're early in the race, but boy, this could be an opportunity here for some of these guys.
Could be an opportunity. We'll have to see if anybody takes advantage as we head down the super stretch here at Daytona. You saw Ryan looking a little bit high side. We're going to cut to the wide shot, see if anybody takes the bait, if anyone wants to mix things up, or if we are just going to be in pure cruise mode right now. And just as the leaders now, Brandon Bowie now going to catch Ron Flagg there in that 23 car, and couple people peeking, especially Spencer Preet, that 37 car. Took a sign against it. Gonna ride the bottom right now, Nolan, and I think everybody's a little bit on edge, especially after the race we had on Sunday. I think, you know, most of these guys were sitting at watching at home. A couple of them were at the track in some capacity, so we saw kind of the carnage that went on in that race, and I wonder if it scared everybody straight a little bit here.
I don't know what scared him straight. I mean, you know, obviously I commend the 23 and the 19 for staying up high and letting the lead pack go, but, you know, in my experience, I would probably have just taken the bottom away from the leaders and made them, you know, do something out of the box, so to speak, and maybe try, because what's going to happen, you might even have 3-4 guys pass you on the outside, but then you're going to have the bottom group push you on up eventually. Someone's going to have to stick with you, and you're going to be able to make something happen. So anyway, it's over and done with now, but yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for the 23 and the 19. They're going to lose those ton of spots here because they're not going to get any help from anybody.
Yep, maybe a teammate might jump up and help Ron Flagg, but he's already gone past Preet and DeMerchant, and no help for the teammates. So doesn't look like Rod Flagg's got anybody hitting him up on friend request saying, hey, I'll help you out. So right now riding lap 25 going to be complete at the line, nearly a quarter way through the race here at Daytona, and well, they're all single file. We're trying to, oh, actually, no, that was a little bit of something going on there. I'm not sure. Looked like that was Cato and Shed, two teammates there, the Ben Shapiro machine. And I believe, Nolan, if you'll confirm that for me, maybe a Borderlands paint on the Carl Shed machine?
And on that one.
Looks like the guy off the corner of Borderlands. I can't tell, though.
Looks like some wrestler of some form.
Oh, is it? Okay. I don't know. We'll have to see if
he works out.
If he can catch the rear right corner of Seth the Merchant's car, we'll be able to tell. Could be Alistair Black. I don't know. Just can't tell. That's the problem. We can't get the drone out there. Steve, we can't have you pull out the LSRTV drone and start flying it over the field. I think we'll get yelled at if we do that.
Yeah, there might be something against FAA regulations to be doing that here. But yeah, certainly a nice scheme nonetheless.
Yeah, and still continuing to cruise here quarterly way through the race. We're looking for stuff to find here. So actually looking around a little bit of. I'm starting to notice, Nolan, that 57, the 57 is looking to maybe pick up Carl Shed. You know what that tells me, Nolan? That tells me that Seth the Merchant's bored. He's going up and he's kind of tempted Carl Shed like, hey, come on, we got to do it. We gotta do something here. And you see him once again out of turn number 4. I think Seth's bored.
I think he is bored. I think he wants something to happen. I mean, he just does, because you're going to have to get somebody to work with you. The problem is when you pull out like that, is he going to come with you or not? Because if he doesn't come out with you, then you're in a whole heap of trouble. So, I don't know. We got such a big gap there, too. You know, these guys, you know, like I said, the tail-end car, a lot of times, especially if the front pack is really, really, really strong, the 4th or 5th or 6th car, whatever car is the weakest, will sometimes actually lose the draft. So I think he's lost the draft, and he's kind of wanting to see if, you know, Seth's trying to fit him out, saying, you want to work with me, you not want to work with me, what's the deal? He might actually just be trying to give some room back to the car behind so they get paired back up and they can catch back up. I'm not sure, and by the way, I can't confirm that is the borderline guy. Whatever his name is, that's him.
And I just noticed there is some outside action, and it's teammates. It's 4 of them. I said nobody was making the call to Rod flag on the team scanner. Well, guess what? They did. It was just further back in your field. You got Rodney Wofford in the number 3 car, the 01 to Travis Brown. Mr. Winbow himself, Michael Cozy Jr. up there on the top side as well. All these drivers. Why does it not surprise me? Why does that not surprise me that the Super Speedway Cup guys, Steve, they run these plate tracks every single week on Friday nights. They know a thing or two about these plate tracks. They're the first ones to start making moves on the top side.
Well, that's exactly it. They've certainly got enough experience to do it here. And they've gone up to the top lane here. They haven't quite made their way up closer into the top 5, but now we start to see them dip out a little bit, Cisco, here. So we might have some action here before pit stops.
It's a good point.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
issue, but nonetheless, back racing here at Daytona. Pit stops just starting to take off with Nolan. We had a little bit of an issue while I was loading back in. It sounds like Kyle Kamer ran into some issues on pit road entry coming down pit road.
Kyle Kamer and unfortunately came together on pit entry. Kyle's going to have quite a bit of damage on the left front of that number 8 car, but luckily there was no caution because it happened on pit entry. He's not going to lose a lot of track position, but he is going to have quite a bit of damage that could spell the end of his race. We'll just have to see how quick that car is in the draft.
And as we restart everything, we welcome you back here to live coverage of race number 1 of Daytona, or race number 1 at Daytona here for the RealSimRacing Cup Series, or the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, presented by, or powered by English Auto LLC here on LSRTV. Cisco Scaramuzza, alongside Nolan Scott and Steve Ovens here to bring you all the action, and looks like we've got our overlay system back as well, so quick turnaround on that one, and unfortunately we won't be able to bring you the pit road dealio, but right now sitting lap 35, still weighing on a majority of the field, Nolan, here to come down pit road.
We are. I was actually just getting ready to comment on the fact that, the baseline strategy, like I said, I've kind of beaten it at this point, is 40-40-20. I think, you have an opportunity for a lot of these guys, especially further on back in the back. If you can get some guys to work with you, say pit lap 37, right around the range we're at 38, and you can really kind of short pit and maybe get a little bit of track position if you're lucky. You're obviously going to be at a bit of a speed disadvantage, possibly, or you're going to be a speed advantage. You're not going to have the track position, but if you can make the pass on the outside, if there's enough cars that, if you have enough cars mismatch the strategy, basically is what I'm trying to say, and you don't have a big, huge group up front, everybody pitting on lap 40, then you actually have an opportunity to make something happen. So maybe, we've seen a couple guys pit 35. I think maybe we'll see a couple more guys pit on like 37, 38. We're on 37, so I can see them pull down now. But 38, 39, and then 40, I think is what you're going to see. And hopefully you'll see some of these different packs kind of come together, so to speak, because you're going to have a bunch of different groups all pitting at different times. Because you don't want to all pit at the same time. It's just too dangerous. There's too many cars coming down pit road. The pit entry here has always been tricky. It's such a high speed, so a lot of times you will see some mismatch strategies start to formulate here on this first stint.
And definitely one of the biggest things, Nolan, and you can attest to this, the new pit road animations mean not only that when you're in the car you get to see your pit grinders working on the car, but it also means that you have a different target that you're shooting for when you come down pit road. And we'll explain what I mean here when we see a couple cars head down pit road, but it's not the same lollipop guy it was last year. It's a brand new system that it's the pit sign, stuff like that. As a couple cars actually going to be able to show us right now as Nick Silver heading down pit road. We won't be able to see the pit guys, but you're going to watch pit road entry going to be very different for these guys, or pit stall entry. They have to be so much more precise when getting into their pit stall.
That's the big thing. I mean, you have to hit such a small area. But now, as before, you had this huge area where you could hit anywhere basically behind that lollipop and you were fine. Now you've just got this really defined area, and you get punished if you get outside that range too far as well. So I love the new system. I think it's great. I think we've needed it, or I don't think we've needed it, but I just think it's a great addition to the sim. I think it's fantastic. It adds a little bit more variability to, actually putting some emphasis on learning how to pit and learning how to get into the box in the right manner. So I just love it. I think it's great.
And Nolan, you're going to have to keep an eye on the chat here, because one of the rules in this series is pit stall entries. It's something that maybe don't necessarily police in other series, but we do here, and you can only enter so many pit stalls, and a lot of guys will use that to their advantage here on the sim, and try and get an advantage coming off pit road, just driving through everybody on pit road. But not the case here in this series. Our race admin Kyle Barnes looking over with the binoculars, trying to make sure everybody's staying nice and kosher on that rule.
Yeah, it seemed obvious actually. Now that you pointed out, I did see some guys really try to pull out, after their pit, and even before their pit, they came in quite late. I was almost kind of wondering what they were doing. But yeah, good rule. I like that.
Yeah, a little bit of a lockup going down pit road there, Steve, and everybody's trying to slow it down here. The pit road speed, 65 miles an hour, and that's a lot of speed. You have to blow that car down, going from about 190 back down to about 65.
Absolutely. You have to get it woed down and get it down pit road without giving up too much time. So that's what these guys are looking at here, is try to maximize every single half second tenth of a second that you can to get in the pits, get out of the pits, and hopefully gain spots or at least maintain the spot if you're the leader.
Yeah, 2 more teammates coming down. Mike Taylor, Drew Adamson, the Beast Racing drivers heading down pit road right now. A little bit of a lockup there for Adamson. He caught the wall just as we looked over at him. We were waiting on them to come down pit road, and after that, it's like absolutely everybody has made their pit stop, and Daniel Falkingham right now leading the field. You got see that 99 machine, Tommy Ryan, he's still up there. Nick Silver, the Kellogg's machine up there. The 97, Lionel Kalisto, the number 9, and Randy Gilchrist all coming out of pit road here. You also got Gabe Wood trailing on to the end of them, and it looks a little bit kind of sketchy out there, Nolan, because we got cars coming off pit road. We got cars already up to speed. It's going to be a little bit of a minefield here at the beginning.
Yeah, this right here is probably the most interesting part of the race from my perspective, because you've got these cars that are going to be coming at such a high rate of speed. Now's the opportunity when you can actually make passing happen. These cars, like the 87 car right now, he doesn't have any help really. You know, Chris is all alone, so he's going to get passed on the outside. But when they get up to these guys, you know, Brandon Bowie, who was your leader, Spencer, Seth the Merchant, all these guys, now they're going to be paired up in a group of 4 cars on the bottom, but they're still going to be at a slight speed disadvantage. So right now you have to make up your mind. Do you want to try to make the move and get it over with and get it done, or do you want to just fall in line? It looks like, unfortunately, this big pack has kind of split up. The 87 on the bottom, the 24 on the top. Maybe if they were in line and they all came up to the outside, they could really get this pass now in this 4-car group. But looks like with the split in this pack that front pack might be able to get up to speed in time.
Yep, and as it sits right now, you can see this pack is probably the biggest pack, and they're probably going to catch the 4 cars in front, which are your current leaders. You got Brandon Bowie, no surprise, he's still out there, and then you got 3 SS Racing drivers between Spencer Preet, Seth the Merchant, and Rodney Wofford. So guys who've done this week in and week out, entering pit road, leaving pit road. It's something that, Steve, the Real Life Cup guys, they only get to do 4 times a year. These guys do it every week. And that repetition definitely helps you out when it comes to the tricky pit road entries and exits on restrictor plate racetracks.
Well, Cisco, you talked about it. You talked about how tricky this pit road was going to be and just how precise they have to be. We have seen 5 penalties on pit road entry, entering too many stalls upon entering the pits. So you guys touched on it, and you were spot on. We're already seeing some issues there on pit road, and you know, new year, updated rules. I think these are things that you tend to see in the first race out.
Yeah, it's shaking off a little bit of that rust, and of course, it's not like these guys haven't been in the cars, but you know, a new season starts up, Nolan, and you know, you've been a part of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series. You know what it's like, you know. Yes, you've had time in the car. You're definitely not, it's not like you're not used to the car, but getting into a race condition here with admins watching over you and everything going on like that, it's a little bit different than just running in like a normal just official race or something like that.
Oh, it's totally different. I mean, it really is. There's so much more pressure involved. There's other rules that are in place that you're probably not familiar with. I think that's the biggest thing. This is a fantastic example of the pit stall rule. I mean, you get into these races, first race of the year, it might not even be on your mind. I mean, I'm sure you've read the log, you know you can't do it, but you get in the race, you're in the heat of the moment, boom, you drive through too many pit stalls. As soon as you do it, you go, oh wow, I can't do that, boom, you get black flagged. It happens all the time. I mean, it just does. And in impasse, we've got a lot of other rules too that apply that, you know, really from an outside position, you actually almost have to go out and test certain things, like the pit exit rule, for example, is something that is unfortunately going away, but that was something that for a long time, I mean, nobody practices it. Nobody does it. And then we're forced to do it every race. So once you get, it's another thing you have to put into the book of things that you have to study for every race, pre-race.
And Steve-O, I've been showing Drew Adamson a little bit, the 82 car out of the Beast Racing camp, because he's going to be our first car 1 lap down, and he's staying with the lead pack right now. He's got Scott Walter, who's also in that same position right behind him. So those two are going to be fighting with each other. Well, they were. And then you're going to throw in 2 more drivers just getting past now. You see the 89 of Jeff Ward, 20 of A.J. Browning. Both of them also falling 1 lap down. The battle for the lucky dog is in full effect here, and Adamson sitting in a very good position right now.
Absolutely, and you know, that was interesting that we see them kind of blend in to this lead pack, and of course that's going to be to their benefit as they're going to try and stay in that position hopefully catch a caution and be the lucky dog here. And as we say that, we got a pass for the lead.
Yeah, that's Spencer Preet up on the top side. The teammates have abandoned Brandon Bowie. He's all on his own on the bottom. And we said that top side, you can make it work with enough cars there, Nolan. And that's exactly what they did. It's the freight train show for SS Racing. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's how it's done. That's what you have to do. And the thing about it is especially when you're in that 4-car pack like they were, Brandon had nobody behind to help him out. Now that he's got the 82 behind, if they tried to do that, they probably couldn't pull it off as easily. So just a well-timed, planned strategy on their part. I mean, they couldn't have timed it any better if they tried.
And getting close here to the iRacing halfway point. We'll take a look at that here in a couple laps and run you through where everybody's sitting in the field, because we have to talk about 41 drivers. We can't show them all at once here on the screen, so it's a little bit tough to do that. And kind of looking through your field, trying to find where the rest of your field is. And Steve-O, we got a pack here back about 14th back, which is kind of the second pack. And that's being led right now by Michael Cozy Jr. And you also got Rod Flagg, whose teammates, but remember, fell lap down after he came down pit road. But Michael Guerrilla, Sean Casto, and Carl Shedd, a couple other cars. These guys in the second pack, but they're a little bit spread out. They're not going to be able to do a whole lot unless they get all together and start really pushing.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe that's what they're going to try and do here, as everybody's starting to file down under the inside lane. And, if they can continue to do this, they could really start to chip away at the lead that the front pack has on them. So I think that's what they really need to do right now. We talked about that earlier with Nolan. They really got to work together here to catch that lead pack, while at the same time trying to avoid some of the lap cars.
Yeah, that was, I think you and I both saw it. That was Harry Tillett, the 69 car, the driver out of UK&I, and one of the staple marks of the Super Speedway Cup Series, who got a little bit sketchy there as he was staying to the bottom, and everybody had to basically thread the needle between himself and Andrew Freenars, the driver of the 88, and a little bit of damage on that machine there. Nolan, was he a part of that Kyle Kamer incident earlier?
Not that I'm aware of, actually. I did not think he was part of it, so maybe
piece of the wall?
Yeah, it's possible. Looks like it.
So the 88 getting a little bit of damage here, and we're not at Bristol, so that's definitely going to play a factor here. But a little bit of a split-up group, a mutiny of about 5 cars or so in your lead pack. And Boo's been able to hang on with the help from Falkingham. And then you got, of course, Drew Adamson leading that sort of rest of the pack here. You got Jeff Ward also fighting for that lap down spot. So you got 5 lead lap cars, then 2 lap down cars, then you got some more lead lap cars as well. So it's kind of a little bit of a bubble of lead lap cars here in the back. So we're as we just completed lap number 50 here, so just passing halfway. But it's if you're the 82 or you're the 89 here, Steve, do you fight with them, or do you want to try and maybe get in front of the leaders, or what's kind of your game plan if you're, let's say, Jeff Ward sitting behind Drew Adamson here?
Well, we're seeing the 82 and the 89 really go at it here for that first car 1 lap down position. It's really tricky because you are battling with all the leaders here. Certainly you don't want to cause any kind of mix-up here running with that lead pack, but at the same time, boy, if a caution were to come out, that position would be so important, and it could change the whole landscape for the rest of your race here with just getting past halfway.
Yeah, just passing halfway, and that means, of course, as we pass halfway, we want to take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, and many more here on the iRacing service. Of course, the Cars Tour and Red Bull Global Rallycross, newer additions to that list. Spencer Breet right now your leader. Seth the Merchant going to be running second. Third place right now is Ronnie Wofford. Fourth is Brandon Bowie. Daniel Falkingham is running fifth. Sixth is Nick Silver. Seventh is going to be Lionel Callisto. Eighth is Travis Brown. Ninth is going to be Colby Buck. Rounding out your top 10 here, Nolan, is the driver with Tommy Reiner, pole sitter.
Tommy Ryan, yep, in 10th. We got Randy Yoakum in 11th, Gabe Wood in 12th, Ross Cato in 13th, Michael Cody Jr. in 14th, Michael, I can never pronounce his last name. Guerrilla in 15th, Sean Casto in 16th, Carl Shedd 17th, Dylan Jones 18th, Shane Parrish 19th, and Daniel Eberhardt in 20th.
21st, we got Shane Ewing in the 32. Dave Washington running 22nd. 23rd, Dwayne Vincent. 24th, going to be Austin Koop. Tom Morano is running 25th. Shane Stanley Ayer is running 26th. 27th to Chris Hurlow. Drew Adamson running 28th. Your first car 1 lap down. Scott Walter running 29th. A.J. Browning rounding out your top 30, Steve. First, we got David Comstock. 32nd is going to be Eric Stanford. 33rd, Rod Flagg. 34th, Braden Whitaker. 35th is going to be Eric Tiller. Jeff Ward running 36th. 37th going to be to Andrew Friedar. 38th to Kyle Gillum. 39th to Chris Parker. Kyle Kamer is running 40th. Remember, had that issue on pit road. And Mike Taylor running 41st, your last car here in your field. But that's been a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today. And thanks to our friends at Red Bull Global Rallycross, you can now visit iRacing.com/membership and use the code PR-GRC for your opportunity to start your career on iRacing. 3 months for only $5. That's promo code PR-GRC for new members only. And somebody getting left on the high side, Nolan.
Yeah, left on the high side. That's a 2-car train we saw in the middle of those 2 packs. That number 12 car, it's Ross Cato. He's on the lead lap. The 19 car is a lap down. And I assume they would kind of pull out and maybe try to leave him to dry. I don't know if that's the right call. They should have just picked up Ross to try to keep the speed up. But let's see if they can hold off this bottom, or let's see if they can hold onto the bottom here and keep this position alive. They don't have much help from behind, but with a 3-car draft up high, that might not be enough to get it all done. They might get 1 or 2 cars down, but to get all 3 is going to be a tall order.
Yeah, and you can see Grilli up there trying to get past him as well. The 19 right now, that's, let me check my numbers. Yeah, that is Eric Stanford, and he's been with Rod Flagg here for a while, but Eric found his teammate in Ross Cato, and Rod found his teammate in Michael Cozy Jr., so I guess the friends are no longer friends and have stabbed each other in the back, I guess, so.
Yeah. And Michael did the exact thing he needed to do. He pulled down, he actually left the top lane. This is what's so dangerous about working the outside and why you're going to see so much cutthroat, passing opportunities present themselves in Impasse and in this race and in other Daytona Series races here. It's just because if you leave the person on the outside, now look at this, they are totally vulnerable. They are going to get steamrolled by so many cars. That's why you have to build those relationships. You have to know who you're working with, and you have to have a strong car to work the outside.
And Steve, you get shuffled up to the top side, and you're just there going, oh no, because you're basically just along for the ride at that point. It looked like Dan Eberhardt in the 90 was going to jump up there, but then decided, no, I'm just going to let him fade away on the outside. It's not a great feeling being up there.
No, and that's what you open yourself up to when you go up there, is you really have to rely on somebody coming up and kind of bailing you out and bringing you home here. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to work out quite that way now. And the way the line is forming up behind them, oh, this could be trouble for them. They could lose a lot of spots here.
Yeah, Cozy Jr. is definitely going to be out of place, and Rod Flagg will be a lap down, but definitely doesn't help to get passed by all those cars. Meanwhile, a little bit of a mutiny going on right now. You know how Daniel Fonkingham was part of that top 5? Yeah, Bye-bye, he goes to the rear. I think Bowie trying to drop back on the top side to try and help, but it's not going to matter. And 3 wide there goes the lap car of Jeff Ward, who's fallen out of position now and was trying to make things happen, and all of a sudden it goes up in smoke for him, and it was really close there, just around Drew Adamson, the 99, I believe, Tommy Ryan as well, Gabe Wood, and they're 2x2 starting to pick up the lap car. And I mean, if you can start to get a push there on the top side, oh, never mind, Scott Walter just decided, oh yeah, that's right, I have to pass you for that lucky dog spot. So Jeff Ward not getting a whole lot of help on the top side, but he is getting help from Tommy Ryan.
He's getting a little bit of help. Yeah, he is. He needs more help. But, yeah, he's getting a little bit of help. He needs it. I actually just saw Brandon Bowie up there trying to make a move to the outside. He thought better of it. He finally pulled down. But, the goal right now is, I mean, it's just there's just too many cars on the bottom in this pack. You just can't make anything happen right now. Unless you're willing to get 5, 6, 7 cars to the top. you just have no opportunity to really make a move. And that's understandable. You just have to know when to make that move. And I think really, you know, on lap 60, there's just still just a little bit too much time left, I think, in certain situations for some of these guys. Like Brandon Bowie right now in this position, I don't think he can do a whole lot, for example. These guys in 6th, 7th, 8th, unless they've got 2 teammates behind them at least, you just need to ride. You just need to bide your time and hope a caution comes out to mix things up. Because really, until that happens, it's hard to make a lot of decisions. So.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, what's
Nolan? Well, I was just gonna say to Nolan's point, I think Bowie is probably flipping up the visor and wiping a bead of sweat off the brow, because he almost got caught on the outside taking a peek, and that door almost slammed shut on him, and he would have been drop kicked to the back of this lead back had he not been able to tuck back down into line. Caught a good break there.
Yeah, and he would have needed a little bit more horsepower on the top side if he was going to hope to hang on there up there. And you know, if your car's run a little bit of low on horsepower, you know where you can get that tuned up? How about English Auto LLC? English Auto LLC is a full-service luxury automobile repair center in Denton, Maryland, conveniently located to serve both the Baltimore and DC markets. English Auto specializes in Jaguar, Land Rover, Mercedes, Volvo, and BMW service. Founded in 2007, English Auto is now in its 11th year of business with a staff that has over 60 years experience combined in the automotive service industry. English Auto has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. For more information, visit them online at www.englishautos.us, through social media at facebook.com/EnglishAuto, and on Twitter at English Auto LLC. And English Auto, brand new title sponsor for us here on LSRTV, and coming along with us, the new title sponsor for the Full Throttle Cup Series, or Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, as I'm going to continue to mess that up for the next couple of weeks. I'll put $1 in the jar every time I do, but special thanks to everybody behind the scenes over at English Auto for making that happen and hopping on board and helping make 2018 RealSimRacing Cup Series a reality. As we run single file, though, here on LSRTV, we're going to take a moment, step aside here. Pit stops in about 18 laps or so, but we'll take a little bit of a break, get a bit of a breather. You're watching the RSR Cup Series, the Full Throttle RSR Cup Series, right here on your home for sim racing, LSRTV, going side by side.
Hi, I'm Ryan Priest. I'm driving the number 20 JGR Toyota Xfinity car this weekend. Really great opportunity here at New Hampshire at my home track. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been on iRacing, practicing a little bit here and there with the modified and the NASCAR Xfinity car, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great tool for me to kind of get used to that stock car body again and be prepared for the race today. Well, yeah, it's a mile long, so the draft kind of plays into effect here with the modifieds. Punches a big hole in the air, and we run restrictor plates. So it makes a big difference. Just really fast, and it's our Daytona. So that's what's great about it, and we have a fast car for tomorrow. I think the biggest thing is they're heavier cars. The tire's a lot different, and the way you go about setting them up is a lot different. They use all 4 tires more than a modified, where we typically drive off the right rear, you know, so. Well, actually, it's funny. I raced NASCAR race in 2003 before iRacing came about, and then when iRacing came about, my friend Kevin Iannarelli, who works at iRacing, kind of told me, hey man, you need to switch over to this, and when I did, I was like, oh my God, this is like real life. So I started using it as a tool of mine to really prepare for modified races, whether it was Stafford or Thompson or Loudon, Bristol, and then obviously the Xfinity Series last year, going to road courses, trying to get laps, and use it as a tool that can get me as prepared as I could be without actually doing it. So it's been great.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome back here to Daytona as racing continue. Lap 66 in the books here for the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series presented by English Auto LLC on your home for sim racing, LSRTV, and racing continuing on here. And we thank you for joining us here on a Monday night. Cisco Scarluzza, Nolan Scott, and Steve Ovens here along with you to bring you all the action. And don't worry, Evan will be back next week. Apparently the plane leaving the Monster Jam show is late, so that's at least what I've heard. I can't confirm nor deny if that's the truth, but that's what Evan told me. We'll be back next week over at Atlanta, but still single file here for your main pack. We saw a couple guys trying to make something happen, mainly Travis Brown jumping the top side for a little bit, but we're all just kind of cruising. Well, we were, until Nick Silver decided he wanted to try something on the top side. He looks, but not quite enough speed there, Nolan, and he's going to drop back in line.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot to be done here. I think we're getting close to this next pit stop window, so once again we have an opportunity to kind of jumble up the field. You know, we saw those 2 packs really form. The front pack got a lot more help than I was expecting. There's a lot of lap cars in that front pack. They picked up a lot of lap cars, so they're getting this big push. They've actually stretched the lead to the second group. So you're now looking at from the leader to basically 13th position, just over 10 seconds, almost 11 seconds the gap now. Whereas before, when the pit stops first ended, we were about 8. So they pulled about 2.5, 3 seconds this run. So we need one more pit stop. We're really going to need a caution for some of these guys at the back to get back up there, but I definitely think you're going to see a caution here. I mean, these guys are going to have to make moves eventually. There's no way you're going to be running in 5th, 6th, 7th and not try to make a move to win the race. So it's just a matter of time. We've got one more pit stop coming up, and I think this is obviously the most pivotal part of the race, considering we went green the entire time. So maybe we'll see once again, instead of having these 2 big packs, we'll split them into 3, maybe even 4, and then you'll see some things kind of mix around for at least 5, 10 laps after that. Maybe, you know, everybody find their footing, so to speak.
Yep, and a couple of mods with us this evening. Of course, want to give a shout out to George Gibbs and Ian Flash as well, Joshua in chat. Thanks for holding down the fort with us here on a Monday night as well. Jason Jacoby joining us in chat. So we believe just got done with the E-Auto series, or believe he's running in that, but nonetheless, great to see those guys out in chat tonight supporting the race. And yep, single file continuing on here, Steve, and 0 cautions tonight. It hasn't mean we haven't had a little bit of issues on pit road, but apart from that, returning to the point that we made at the start of the race, I think everybody's pretty content to just kind of chill out for a while after Sunday.
I think so. I think that we're seeing a lot of patience right now. But one thing that I think that we need to keep in mind here as we approach that final pit stop is all of the pit road penalties that we saw.
59 car around on the track. Big contact. Oh, he's up in the outside wall. Big wreck from Chris Gillum. He got pushed out of the draft and he got spun around head on into the wall.
And just like that, it all goes out the window. As soon as we mentioned caution, a caution flies, so go figure. But David Comstock also involved in that, our defending champion from 2017 involved. Also your pole sitter, Tommy Ryan. We'll take a second look on the LSRTV replay. And Nolan, you said it started all around the number 59 there. Yeah, just got tagged actually Drew Adams in the 82. I think the 59 thought he was going to be able to clear Drew there, and Drew not having a great speed weeks either, got involved in the accident in his duel, and apparently at least he was able to keep control of the car this time. But it's been a long 2 weeks here for Drew Adamson, but the 59 just absolutely up in the outside wall, and you see David Comstock try to go the inside to avoid it. Maybe just wasn't able to just tag the 8 car, and then the 99 also trying to avoid that one as well there, Nolan.
Yeah, he did. The 59 car looked like he had maybe an opportunity to get down on the front stretch, but he honestly went in the corner, kind of went up on the outside. Car below him just went a little bit wide, I think, and they just kind of got together. I don't even know if he was trying to get back down in line. I was having a hard time trying to figure all that out as I was watching it, but yeah, just a bit unfortunate. Could have been avoided. They had a lap car on the outside. Maybe that played a part, but yeah, it's over and done with now, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely an avoidable accident. There's just no need for that.
Yeah, and the 99, it looks like, got tagged from behind there, and not sure who the culprit was on that one as we're on the roof cam, but nonetheless going to return to the live picture because, Steve, I'm going to see if you're paying attention. What was our fuel strategy here tonight, crew chief?
Well, our fuel strategy tonight was 40, 40, and 20, but, you know, at this point, you can wad that up in a paper ball and throw it out the window because now we can go to the end here.
Yep, so I guess that makes the crew chief's life a little bit easier because Nolan, oh, car already not getting into his pit stall correctly. That was Rodney Wofford, the 3 car, the Good Wrench Service Plus machine. He got a little bit sideways into his pit stall. The 43 had to back up. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. I guess it was caution flag pit stops here, which is forcing everybody that's going to be not getting into their stall. Also seeing, I think that was the 8 back there, having trouble getting into his stall, Kyle Kamer, but cars coming off pit road now. But yeah, that was a massive issue there, Nolan.
Yeah, massive. A lot of cars having a hard time breaking it down, and it's very tough, in my opinion, with the chassis design at Daytona to actually get on the brakes here. It's a lot harder than it is at, say, a place like Richmond. It's just the way we set up the chassis. A lot of times you're forced to run more brake bias than you like, so you see a lot of front tires lock up at Daytona as opposed to a lot of other tracks. So yeah, a lot of guys just trying to get what they could while they could, you know, under caution, which is one of the most pivotal times to have a good stop. And unfortunately, they just overshot, which, once again, with the new pit stop model, you have a lot. I mean, you have to be so much more precise. It's almost, I mean, you used to be able to come in on the left, on the right. Now you have to come in dead center. Front, back has to be almost perfect. They just don't give you that variability that they used to give us.
Yeah, and looking, 3 cars going to stay out of pit road, and surprise, they're all teammates. And for the first time this season, welcome to the front, Aegis Motorsports. Dylan Jones, right now, that driver in the number 11. Formerly, he used to run with you guys about I think it was 2 seasons ago, Nolan, in that number 11 car. It's part of Nexus Esports back then, and now with the Aegis camp. Got Daniel Eberhardt, the driver in the number 90, who just missed out, and we had to go into the encumbered win mode scenario for the playoffs, that one, and unfortunately Dan had to miss the chase. And then the 98 to Dave Washington as well. And while I say that, they're all coming down pit road anyway, so much for that. But the teammates that stay together pit together, I guess.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. You know, just come in now and, well, you know, I say that. I'm really not sure why a couple of these guys, because Dylan Jones is on the lead lap, is he not? Did I miss something?
Yep, yeah, he's on the lead lap.
Why did he not pit the first time? At this point, I really hate to say this, but if you're in 4th position and you're pitting for a teammate, you know, you might want to think about that for just a moment. Maybe he didn't pit for another reason that I'm unaware of, but with the fuel strategy the way it is, everyone had to pit. So I'm not sure why they waited. Maybe they're just trying to regroup at the back, but unfortunately, a lot of times in that position, if your teammate's in 14th, 15th, 16th, and you're 4th, you just say, well, sorry, you know, it just is the way it is. You can't expect a teammate to lose 15 positions for you.
And Nolan, it can be hard because, you know, if you're in the car, your black box only shows you a couple cars in front behind you. You really need maybe some sort of application to help you see where all the different cars are. Do you know anything that might be able to help you with that?
Gee, I think you might. Does it start with Joel?
Yeah, I believe it does. That's right. Joel Real Timing, the official timing sponsor of LSRTV, and coverage of the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series presented by English Auto is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim behind the wheel or on the pit box or in the spotter stand or heck, even in the commentary booth, JRT is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download for free. Get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com. JRT making things happen behind the scenes for us here at LSRTV. And, yep, of course, a longtime partner for us and helping us to be able to see, oh, yeah, that's where that car is. I forgot where he was. And helping you also see fuel mileage, fuel calculations, all that stuff. Thank you, JRT, for coverage of that. But looking like the light's going to go out this time. The wave arounds, they're heading around here, Nolan. There's a lot of cars getting a wave around back onto the lead lap. They're still probably going to have to pit. But for them, they're hoping that they get another caution here.
Yeah, another caution would be good. they're going to be able to, you know, this is one of those tracks specifically, and it doesn't look like any of these guys are going to do it, but a lot of times you can kind of lay back here, especially if you're at the back of the wave around crew, and get a big run going as you go to take the green flag. It's a bit of a cheeky move, but we commonly see it. So, you know, we might see a couple guys do that at the back. I haven't seen anybody laying back, though, so that doesn't assume to be the case, but we do see it.
What happened to Gabe Wood? He's got massive damage on the front nose of that 00. Did he run into somebody there on the pace lap, or what? What happened to Gabe? Because there is monumental damage on that LSRTV Fusion.
And taking bump drafting to a new dimension there. I see that. It's the left front specifically. It's really caved in, and the right front doesn't look too great either. Looks like whatever he hits square. A lot of front end damage. I don't know if that's going to affect his straight line pace or not, but it certainly doesn't look good. It's definitely in the limit where you might actually want to take tape off that car.
If we had the ability to do that, Nolan.
Well, yeah, they're probably all running, I'm assuming, bare minimum, so.
No, not that. The other reason.
What's that?
Fix it up.
Oh.
Makes it easier, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, keep that tape on there, like I said.
But yeah, Gabe some serious front end damage to the 00. And Steve, we're going to have to delay the caution here one lap because we had that many wave arounds. We wanted to make sure we reordered everybody, so we're going to get going here next time by as the rest of the field just catching the pack here. So they're all going to have to get ordered on the inside because once you take the wave around, you have to be stuck on the inside. So that means the outside line not quite as big as it was at the start of the race, and it also means it's going to be a little bit of a snake kind of falling off the rear of the field here, and that could be bad if these guys can't stay with the main draft.
Well, that's true. One other thing that I noticed here on pit stops is that Daniel Falkingham came into the pits 5th, came out of the pits 3rd. So a great pickup for him coming down the pit lane, and that could really help him out here as we're going to have a restart. 23 laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be 24 at the line here, and Spencer Preetz at the Merchant, your two teammates right there, are going to lead everybody back, and you see Travis Brown down there on the flat, kind of exploring a little bit here, and nobody's done it yet tonight, Nolan, but I encourage any of the drivers, if we get another caution, have you ever seen anyone take the bus stop on a caution lap in NPAS?
Yeah, every year. Yeah, I think we actually did an NIS this week, you know, trying to be cool and stuff. But yeah, I mean, as long as they're not doing it under green flag conditions, go for it is what I say.
It's kind of a tradition we see here on iRacing. It usually means that the drivers are a little bit bored and ready to get back racing, and such is the way of cautions can happen. But 24 laps to go at the line. You took your fuel clipboard, you threw it out the window, and for the first time here this evening, it's going to be re-green here from Daytona. 6 caution laps into the books, and the field in control of Spencer Preet. The 37 on the loud pedal. Green flag back in the air here from Daytona.
It's good teamwork up front. I think the number 1 car is going to try to let the 57 in. Maybe not, actually. It looks like he's going to close that position off. I know Brandon Bowie's up there on the top. He doesn't have a lot of help, but he's got room to get down if he wants to in front of that 24 car. Looks like he's going to elect to stay with the 57.
Dan with him, so the 43 trying to throw. Oh, never mind. He just stabbed him in the back. I think he waited and wanted to force Merchant to the outside. And Steve, what I thought was an olive branch there for a moment. Bowie saying, hey, I'll work with you, bud. Yeah, bye, Seth the Merchant.
What you thought was an olive branch got snapped right off the tree. So there you go. And he is going to have tough sledding here trying to get back in line as there is 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all lined up here ready to pounce. They're starting to form up on the outside lane though, but boy, it might be a little too late here for that.
Oh, and actually he did, yeah, that was help. That was his teammate there, Seth's teammate, Rodney Wofford, the number 3 car, actually kind of moved up the track and kind of laid off the throttle, and it helped because Cozy was back there too. Those teammates let Seth back in, and they're deciding, hey, what are we doing down here on the bottom side? We could make that outside line. Oh no, I say that, but Rodney not sure yet if he wants to commit, and Seth not sure either. But that top side you allude to there, Steve, Austin Cooper, Dylan Jones, Dave Washington, and Daniel Eberhardt. So 3 teammates. Austin Cooper now Cozy to the top side. He's going to block it. Get a little bit sketchy there.
And here comes Bowie to the outside too.
So Brandon Bowie, he is going to use that outside to his advantage. I think he's testing the waters a little bit, but Nolan, we're past three-quarter mark. I think it's go time.
Yeah, it's go time. This is the biggest group we've had on the outside yet. The big issue is when you pull up, you have to make the move quick. As soon as you leave that car in front, if you're on the bottom, you want to have a gap. You want to have a 2-car gap, maybe even a 3-car gap if you're lucky. Oh, 3 wide, do think. Yeah, 3 wide. Oh, yeah, the 57 is going to cut him a break, it looks like. Let him get back in. But yeah, but it's imperative. Even with the big group on the outside, you still have to break the gap on the bottom. So the question is, how do you do that now? We need to see a little bit more side drafting, I think. I think they're going to be a little bit cautious. We still got 20 to go, but the side draft's going to be a big part of this race as we get down to the end.
And we keep talking about it, Steve. These Super Speedway Cup guys, the 3, the 57, the 77, they do this every week. Side draft is just normal turn of events for them. So they're probably, watch those guys. They're probably going to be the best here when it comes to the side draft. Bowie, Silver, some of these guys that don't run plate races virtually every week will be a little bit of a disadvantage here, I'm thinking.
It could be, but Nolan, here's my question. You know, we saw those guys get 3 wide here just a moment ago, and one driver cuts another a break, but you know, we still have 19 laps to go here. You know, at what point do these drivers say, okay, I'm not willing to cut that break anymore?
Well, yeah, you know, I guess it's different for every driver. You know, in my situation, if I was in this race, I would like to get to that 10 to go mark. I would stay on the bottom, you know, for whatever it took to stay on the bottom until about 10 to go, and then I might make a move. With that said, this Brandon Bowie car, you know, he's working this outside pretty well. He's got help from behind. Even with a 3-car train, they're able to hold the gap. If they could just get like the 2-car or the 67 or just 1 or 2 more cars to come up, I think they might actually be able to make something happen here. They're a little bit more competitive than I was originally anticipating. But with that said, if you can go to the top and you can hold your position, why not? I guess it's kind of their train of thought right now. Now, the guys that got cut off in the back, they're obviously falling back down in the line. We don't see that many cars on the outside like we did just a second ago. But, you know, they're making it work. I'm surprised to say it. They're actually holding on to the lead pack here. They're losing a little bit of time, but they're definitely not dropping to the back of the pack.
And that was another car I think just jumped up to the top side, and looking at the number on the roof, that's a blue 90, and no surprise, Daniel Eberhard, who has run with the Super Speedway guys in times past, but definitely one of the Super Speedway aces here when it comes to the RSR Cup Series, and definitely has had a lot of success and also a couple bit of issues when it comes to the plate races. But another thing I just thought of here, Nolan, some of these cars in the back that took the wave around, they're still waiting on a pit stop here. They may not be able to make it to the end on fuel. They might be kind of doomed here if a caution doesn't fly.
I would assume, via the numbers that I have, I'm assuming they're similar to this fixed setup, that they are going to have to pit. I don't even think it's going to be close.
And a couple cars have come down, Flag and Stanford, primarily those two down pit road.
Yeah, that is true. And you know, the game plan is, if you are in that situation, you want to try to get on the radio maybe and say, hey, listen, we can't make it. Let's all pit together. And at least try to keep your speed up so you don't lose another lap. But, you know, with that said, it looks like a few of them already bit the bullet. Maybe here we got another car coming down now. Looks like the 81 car. Mike Taylor is coming down now. So, and once again, by himself, might have been wise to just kind of run it till it's empty. In my opinion, in that situation, you want to run as long as you can. You never want to pit early in this situation. You want to run the tank completely empty just in case a caution comes out.
Yeah, no help from the teammate there, and Drew going to stay out while Mike's pitting, so not really sure, but I think the 81 kind of doomed there on pit strategy nonetheless. But 83 laps to go. It's going to be 16 laps to go at the line, and Steve, we're starting to see a couple guys starting to take looks. We've seen Eberhard do it. Now we're looking at Casto maybe thinking about it. So I don't think we'll see it, like Nolan said, until about 10 to go, but that doesn't mean he can't start kind of feeling it out on the top side.
No, absolutely, and I've been pretty impressed here with Brandon Bowie in the 43 car. They're really having to work that side draft hard in order to try and keep pace here. They have lost a little bit of time, but through working the side draft, they've been able to kind of keep up here. But now it looks like they're going to lose just a little bit of time here down the back straightaway.
Yeah, they're very spaced out there, Nolan. You need to be together, and that's not going to help at all. And also, lap car up on the top side, Xander Freenar is 88, and that car looking even worse for wear than last time. So not really sure what happened to Freenars, but a lot of damage on that Aegis entry.
A lot of damage on him, and yeah, that top line, they're working together well, but you see the 57, he gets to the 24, he pushes the 24, then he gets to Brandon in the 43, and then it accordions back and forth, and it's never ending. If those guys could just get tight, and they could get this 90 and this 67 to the rear bumper, the 57, and they've got an opportunity to make something happen, but they got to stay tight here. They got to work the side draft a little bit more, especially on the back stretch, in my opinion. But you know, with that said, I'm kind of critiquing them here, but at the same time, they're able to hold on to the outside. And I think with these extra cars, the 90 and the 67 coming along, I think they can actually make a run for the money here.
Yep, Everhart to the top side as well. I think Colby Buck, if you throw him into that equation as well, Steve, we mentioned him earlier, but he's kind of in a good position to do it, as is Washington. Washington, though, probably going to go with his teammate more than Colby, with just a couple random strangers up on the top side. And meanwhile, Falkingham, he's looking down on the bottom side. He wants to pull the Earnhardt pass out of turn 2 and jump to the inside when he crests out of the corner.
Yeah, this is you know, we're getting down to go time here, guys. We're gonna we've got the caution flag being shown on the field.
Caution flag flies, looking for where that issue may be. I'm seeing slow car down on the bottom is the 48 of Tom Morano, and I'm gonna pull up the replay here. Not sure, believe it was, oh yeah, it was, and it was more issues with Comstock. The defending champ we've barely been able to talk about him, and when we have, it's usually been an accident, so more bad luck for Comstock. I knew he had just like gotten off the plane, and oh yep, that's exactly what that was, and just goes around, and I think Comstock may have to lay off the Netflix a little bit here, because around goes the 48 off a little bit of a issue there, as we'll say, but the 48 gonna go around. So yeah, Comstock, get off the Netflix, bud.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Comstock obviously had a little bit of a latency issue there, nowhere near the outside car, and somehow he still managed to turn Tom with a full car width in between the two. So that's a big lag spike. It's unfortunate. You don't see that very often, and iRacing does such a good job of trying to contain that, but you don't see it to that extent very often. That's one of the worst I think I've seen all week.
That is Nolan. Maybe he accidentally hit the download for the update to Overwatch, and yeah, at that point.
Yeah, I hate it when I forget to turn off BitTorrent before a race. I hate
it. Or Steam or something like that, and the update kicks in. Oh, there goes the internet. But nonetheless, Comstock, what was a memorable season for the driver of the 42, has been anything but here at Daytona, and we haven't gotten to talk a bit about him. Part of the reason was because his name decided not to show up on the ticker, and not really sure why, which, considering that was the same thing that happened at Homestead, and maybe there's a phantom in the system for that one. But Comstock, we didn't get to talk as much about it, but Homestead was going up against what was essentially teammates going into the Final Four, and won it purely on fuel strategy. Ran out coming out of turn number 4, Nolan, and you can't time it much more. He had no fuel. The car was coasting out of turn number 4, and he timed it just right and crossed the finish line, coasting across to win the championship. And of course, we get to look forward to that here towards the end of November, December time, as we are going to be implementing the same playoff system that NASCAR uses in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, that means that a win here means absolutely everything.
Yeah, wins are huge. When you're working fuel strategy, it's amazing. I think a lot of people sometimes aren't aware that how close we cut it on fuel mileage in a lot of these races, you know, especially the big ticket races. I can't tell you how many races I've had to, you know, clutch the car, you know, coming down to the end of big races, and a lot of guys do that. It's amazing. They obviously don't want to do that. I'm not saying that you need to start building your setup and your strategy around that, but we make mistakes. It happens, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting way to win a championship, and winning these races is obviously huge.
Yeah, and I'm going to double check actually my my points thing, because I think we actually did a little bit of futzing around with the point system. Well, I did. I didn't do any of it. Austin Coop has been the man behind the scenes on the RSR rulebook, and the survey says I'm actually losing my mind, because we are going by points here. So yes, while you do get a winner, you get extra points. We're not going winner. Yeah, no, we're not going by winning your in. We're going by points here. So, nonetheless, it's still a lot of points if you win. So it's not quite a lock-in. Not kind of the same deal that Austin Dillon got in Daytona, Steve, and it makes it to where, you know, we made the change because we had a lot of drivers who were able to get that win and then just kind of let off a little bit through the kind of second half of the season. We saw that happen to Jimmy Johnson on the real life side of things, and I think we ditched it purely because it's a little bit easier to do that here on the sim because you don't have to worry about you know, a lot of the drivers here don't have to worry about, you know, multi-thousand to $1 million sponsor contracts, so they can let off a little bit in the middle half of the season. That's all gone now.
Absolutely. I think you want to see drivers going hard from the first race here at Daytona all the way to Homestead, without a doubt.
If I could, I just want to say that I'm actually in agreement with that change. I think that's the optimal system personally. You know, I know that there's a lot of hype behind that whole, you know, we need to force drivers to win races and yada yada yada. We all, I mean, nobody is going to lay down to win a race for any specific reason. I mean, unless you're getting down to the end of a championship and you just need to grind some points, maybe then you'll see it. But I don't think you're going to see it in Impasse. I don't think you're going to see it in any series in iRacing. I'm a big fan of the whole point system strategy that we seem to be going away from for some reason, whereas we've seen in Formula One and other series that it works just so well just to do a points-based system. But anyway, I'm beating a drum at this point that probably doesn't need to be beaten, but I love the point system as a whole, just on a static format. I don't like the whole you win this system, then a knockout, and yada yada yada.
Well, we're kind of doing a hybrid, Nolan. It's a little bit interesting because we like the playoff format because, you know, it does add a little bit of intensity, but we're not doing you know, race winners will advance going into the playoffs, but you know, up until then, it's, you know, it's still it's all going to be points based. So a lot of this is going to be, you know, the regular season. Once you win the race, oh, you don't have to worry about it anymore. That's not the case here. You still need to show up every other week.
Yeah, very true, and I do agree with that. I do think it's better for sure, but
you're just not.
I'm a purist, baby. I'm a purist. Yeah, I'm a purist.
You're Matt Kenseth winning by how many points was it, Steve-O, back in 03? Like
without having the exact number, we'll just say a lot
of points. But nonetheless, lights are out on the pace car, so we can stop talking about points standings.
No.
Oh, hold on. Hold on, getting transmission. Okay, that's what I thought. That was race control. Kyle Barnes jumping in my ear saying, yes, race wins in the playoffs do get you the next round. But up until through the regular season, you win a race, great, you get more points. You don't lock yourself in. We're not doing that. So we'll get more of that, of course, once we get, you know, out actually some points on the board, because we don't have any points on the board.
Interesting pairing on the restart here, guys. You've got the 43 and the 1 in the outside lane here on the restart.
Yeah, that 43 has definitely been one of the strongest cars, much like it was yesterday. So keep an eye on Brandon Bowie. I know Nolan's been hyping him up, and I think we got to watch out for that driver. But hey, 9 laps to go to the line. It's the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car jumping to pit road. Green flags back out here, second restart. And Spencer Freak got going, and Nick Silver did not.
Nick Silver did not, and Brandon Bowie's going to pull down to the bottom immediately and take that position away. It's going to leave the 1 at the top. That's Daniel. He's got some teammates up here, so it's going to be interesting to see how he slots into this position. I think he's probably going to be forced to run this #1 position on the outside. He's got a lot of help from behind right now. I think we saw Brandon Bowie. Oh, Brandon Bowie's going to pull out and take that position back again. He likes the outside.
He wants to get past Spencer Preet. They head into turn number 3. Got a little bit sketchy there, but they were able to hold on to it, and the battle for the lead is on. Bowie on the top side, Preet on the bottom, and it's a drag race coming out of turn number 4. Who's going to steal the way this lap? Preet, oh, good advantage, though, on the bottom side with help from Nick Silver and Seth the Merchant. He'll get the advantage as they cross the line there. 8 laps to go.
Really seems like the bottom lane, Cisco's got the better run here as Bowie and Falkingham just couldn't make a go of it there.
Yeah, they couldn't. And now to the top side goes Nick Silver. So I think they're just trying to kind of get to the bottom, get to the front, and then jump to the top side. But now to the bottom side goes Daniel Eberhardt, that third car in line. And Silver doesn't look like he has much in the way of speed up on the top side either. 7 laps to go at the line. And Nolan, it's a revolving door right now at your field, at the front of your field.
It's a revolving door. We saw Brandon and Nick really work the outside together extremely well earlier in the run. But now it just looks like the bottom line is on a mission. They said, all right, we'll see you later, guys. And I don't even with Nick and Brandon on the outside and a little bit of help from behind, they can't do anything. They're just dropping like stones right now. So they're going to need a lot of cars on the outside to really help them. I think the bottom side has just said, you know what, we're going for it. Our cars are cool. Let's push as hard as we can right now. Force these guys on the outside to lose as many positions as they can early. And then maybe we'll scrap it out with 2 to go.
Yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with that sentiment. 6 laps to go at the line. Seth DeMerchant has been lurking around all day. That 57 Peterson irrigation machine looking to make his mark on the series once again into the top side. Eberhardt thought about it, and Cozy was going to go with him and got him a little bit out of shape there, Steve. And you don't want to be pushing when you're in the tri-oval or in the corners, because just as in real life, in the sim, if you push in the corners, bad things happen.
Well, and they had such a good run coming out of the tri-oval and down into turn 1. We almost had them stacked up there in the first turn. This is really going to get interesting here as they're going to come back to the line with 5 to go.
5 to go, and Spencer Preet still in control. He's got a teammate behind him and a teammate in 4th. Could this be the race that Super Speedway Cup takes over? The invasion once again trying to make it happen, but Aegis trying to stay tough. And you got Washington and Eberhardt up there, the 90 and the 98 teammates, and then 77, 57, 37 all teammates. And oh yeah, throwing the 3 as well. He's going to be a teammate to Seth and the rest of the Super Speedway gang. Throwing Dylan Jones as well, a teammate to the Aegis. So a battle of the teams, and Daniel Falkingham too as well, just kind of hanging out with these guys, looking for his opportunity to try and make things happen. And Falkingham, I'm trying to see if he's joined up with anybody. No, he's privateering this thing, so he's his own man. So keep an eye on that one car. I think could be the wild card here, Nolan.
He could be the wild card. I think Daniel Eberhardt's in a really good position because we know probably for sure that the 37 and the 57 are going to work together. If Daniel can get Michael to pull out with him when they get a big run on maybe the outside, or maybe on the exit of 4 or the exit of 2, and they get a big run, and they really set him up, and they can get the 98 and the 3 of David Washington and Rodney to pull out with him, that's going to leave the nobody to help Seth and Spencer on the bottom. That's the only way they can make it work right here, and I think that's what you're going to see. I think this is going to be, the battle is going to be between the 90 and the 37 at the end of the day, because I don't really see anybody else making a huge...
Oh, there goes Jones into the wall. He's going to come back down and spin. That could be the yellow. That might just end it right there. Ooh, big contact. Who was that? That was 4, I think. And just like that, it all comes crashing to a halt. And that could very well end this race. Caution out goes for Dylan Jones. The number 11 car was going side by side with Falkingham, the number 9 or the number 1 car. I think they just made contact there, Nolan. Taking a second look at it now.
Yeah, the 11 definitely on the outside of the 1. He kind of comes down, squeezes him down on the straight, and then just can't hold on to it after they make contact. Spins around. Doesn't really have any huge contact with anybody until the purple and white car. I'm not quite sure who that is. The 4 car.
Whitaker, the 04.
Whitaker, yeah.
Or the 4, I should say.
Plasters him.
Yeah, this is gonna be a ride here. The 11 trying to hold on to it, counter steers. At this point, the caution has now officially flown. Everybody's starting to fall to see it. Gabe gets a little bit of contact, and then a la like a wrecking ball, the 12 barely misses it, and then whammo for Braden Whitaker. And that was, I think, the 18 as well that made contact of Shane Parrish. But yeah, we're gonna ride on board with the 4 car on that one because he clobbered Jones there.
Yeah, full speed, never lifted, it almost felt like to me from the external view.
And riding on board now with this car. And Steve, that's just a case where not really much not much he could do there. He was just kind of a last minute, oh, surprise car, and then whammo, he goes, and just like that, Whitaker's race ends up airborne.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time, nowhere to go. I think all of that applies there for that one. And you know, now that we get down to the end here, Nolan, question for you. You know, when you know that you get down to the end of these races and a caution like this can you know bring the end of the event, does that make it so that you have to really make these moves with 4 or 5 laps to go, or try to put these runs together a little bit sooner than you would expect?
I think it does. I think it depends on the series in which you're racing in a lot of times, but yeah, I think it does. I'm still a fundamental believer that you know you have to base it off race strategy most of the time, because if you pull out with, you know, especially at Daytona, unlike, you know, if we're going to Atlanta next week, that's a little different. You can kind of make your plays based on that a little bit closer. But on a track like Daytona, you pull out with 4 to go, you make the move, and then the bottom line gets pulled back together, and then you get steamrolled on the outside because you went 2 laps too early. You know, it's really one of those things where you kind of have to roll the dice, I think. I still think the 90 was right in kind of staying on the bottom as long as he did. I think he could have set him up and maybe made a pass. If he would have got 3 cars to go with him, it would have left the 37 and the 57 out to dry, and he probably could have closed the door, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, in hindsight's 2020. Obviously, that would have been the best move for him looking back on it. But in that position, I probably would have done exactly what he did. I would have waited till, you know, that 2 to go mark, maybe even 1 to go mark, and then try to make something go on the outside and close the door on him. But yeah, it's definitely something you need to think about, especially on a plate track.
And it's a white flag. It's going to be in the air this time for Spencer Preet, and just has to make it back to the start-finish line, and he'll have his first career win, first win for the team, and a lot of firsts there for Spencer Preet if he could just make it around to this start-finish line. You can see Seth the Merchant waving around back there, but how about Daniel Eberhardt? Nolan was mixing it up, trying to make things happen. I think might have been able to do something here, just time ran out on him.
I think he could, yeah, I think he could have set something up, but like I said, I think he was in the right, waiting, biding his time, waiting till we got to the end. It looked like the 77 was ready to go, was ready to make something happen. And there was a couple times I saw Daniel specifically kind of make sure that he stayed on the bottom and made sure he didn't get too hard in the 57. So I think he did everything he could. You know, it just, unfortunately, when those cautions come out, they come out at the wrong time, and it kind of takes away your opportunity to win races. And it's a shame, but it is the way it is.
Yeah, it is the way it is, and would have been interesting to see what Dan could do, but unfortunately for him, the first Aegis driver here, and what a battle of the teams here we had, Steve. You got 2 teammates, then you got Dan, then you got a teammate to Preet and DeMerchant, then you got a teammate to Dan, and then you got a teammate to Preet, then you got, well, it was Dylan Jones back up there, so really turned into a battle of the super teams there.
Well, it really did, and for some of the cars that, you know, we saw were so strong early on, things just didn't work out for him here in the end. I mean, you talk about the 1 car of Falkingham, and also how strong Bowie was there early on, but just didn't work out for him here today.
No, it didn't, but it worked out for Spencer Preet. Right place, right time. The Jack Bolt radio machine, P1 here at Daytona, and we'll get the first win on your 2018 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC victory here, and definitely a statement being made right there, Nolan. You got super speedway guys coming into the super speedway, and there were a lot of them up front, and I can't say I'm terribly surprised by that, but it was a good clean race, and relatively speaking, only 3 yellows in a 100-lap race, which I can't speak for this week in terms of NIS, but I think it's a little bit better than the usual average.
I think so. I think this whole new system, this draft model, there's a lot of people that like it. There's a lot of people that don't like it. I honestly think it makes for cleaner overall racing, because so many people know that there's a lot you can't do as opposed to a lot you can do, as there used to be. So yeah, you get tempers that flare because you cut guys off a lot of times, you don't give them help, but at the same time, when people understand the meta that is the new draft model, they tend to be, in my opinion, cleaner races. I mean, at the Clash, for example, we had a big, long green runs. The only real big wreck we had was coming across the checkered flag on the final lap.
Kerwin.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we're going to see a similar thing in Impasse, you know, on Tuesday. So, you know, that to me is the new meta for now. So you love it, hate it, whatever it is. I think it makes for good, clean racing. I think it makes for interesting broadcast because you're entertained the whole time. You're green most of the race in most cases. And yeah, then at the last moment, you have
wake up guys on the front stretch. By the way,
yeah, there are. They're kind of stealing the glory away from him here.
Ah, well, it's the teammates, so they're all celebrating up in the up under the flag stand. Not something we usually see, Steve, nowadays IRL, because I don't think we usually see 5 guys doing donuts, 6 guys doing donuts in front of the fans.
No, but you know what? That's what the fans came to see. They came to see a show, and they're getting one right now.
Well, Spencer Preet is going to be able to steal the victory away here. We're going to take a look at your full race results here from Daytona, as Spencer Preet was able to hold on and grab the victory. Seth DeMerchant going to finish 2nd. 3rd going to go to Daniel Eberhardt. Michael Cozy Jr. going to finish 4th. 5th to David Washington. 6th going to go to Rodney Wofford. 7th going to go to Daniel Falkingham. 8th going to go to Colby Buck. 9th going to go to Nick Silver. And rounding out your top 10, Brandon Bowie.
That's right. Austin Coop's going to come home in a strong 11th place. Worked his way from the back of the field pretty well. Lionel Callisto in 12th. Chris Hurlow in 13th. Gabe Wood in 14th. Mike Guerrilla in 15th. Dwayne Vincent in 16th. Sean Casto in 17th. Travis Brown 18th. Tommy Ryan in 19th. And Ross Cato in 20th.
21st gonna go to Randy Oakham, Braden Whitaker, Shane Parrish, Tom Morano, Shane Ewing, Dylan Jones, AJ Browning, Harry Tiller, Ron Flang, and Drew Adamson. Round out your top 30 there, Steve-O.
31st was Scott Walter. 32nd, or excuse me, Eric Stanford. 32nd was Scott Walter. Carl Shedd finished in the 33rd position. Shane Stanley Air was 34th. Chris Parkman was 35th, David Comstock 36th, Mike Taylor 37th, Jeff Ward 38th, 39th was Kyle Kammer, 40th was Andrew Freenars, thank you, and rounding out the field 41st was Chris Gillum.
That'll do it. We'll catch up with your podium finishers here from Daytona. You're watching coverage the Full Throttle RSR Cup Series presented by English Auto LLC on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. Back in a moment. Back live here from Daytona International Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show here for the Full Throttle RSR Cup Series presented by English Auto LLC. We're in victory lane because somebody won this race, and it was the 37 of Spencer Preet, and caught up down now in victory lane. And Spencer, you got it done for the team. You had a teammate behind you. Not the way I'm sure you wanted the race to end, but hey, I mean, you won the race. You just won Daytona.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm amazed it actually played out as perfectly as it did. It definitely went probably the best it could have gone for me pretty much throughout the whole race.
I was going to have to tease you a little bit because you got the win in this season before you got the win in Friday night. So
yeah.
Obviously you got plenty of teammates back on Friday nights helping you out here, but what was the race like out there? It definitely seemed a lot calmer. I think Steve, Nolan, and I were all having conspiracy theories that after everybody watched the race Sunday night that we're like, maybe we should be nice and calm here. But what was your take?
I guess what I gathered from it was really hard to make anything happen on the outside. You had to have a lot of help and you had to be really organized. And after about 15-20 laps, the tires would just die. The right sides would be all worn out. And so the bottom, I mean, people were starting to push up, but it was still difficult even then to try to make anything happen on the outside because I guess people were still afraid of what might happen where guys are sliding up from the bottom. So from that point, it just seemed like everyone singled out and was content with riding. And then I mean, by the end, it was like, again, it was tough for anyone on the outside to get anything to go. And I mean, that's why I felt really confident being the leader and being able to control the inside line. If we had enough of a push and we were able to hold it down, there was really nothing the outside line could have done. So,
well, you had a very good points day here. You led a lap. You led the most laps, not a point for leading the most laps, and not sure who led it halfway quite yet, but definitely clean race for you out there. You're going to be sitting on top of the point standings rolling into Atlanta. We knew you guys were going to be strong here, but rolling into the 1.5 miles and through the rest of the schedule, does this make it a little bit easier? Like, all right, we got this.
It definitely takes some pressure off. Getting the win right away, kind of, I'm not going to be as stressed out worrying about everywhere else, but I'm hoping to be competitive everywhere. It's been a while since I've raced in a competitive league that hasn't just been on super speedways, and it's been a while since I've raced anything in that context on all the 1.5 miles and all that in the cup cars. So it's been a while for me. I'm probably going to be a little rusty, but I'm hoping that I can still be fast.
Well, before we let you go, obviously you got the sponsors on board. Sponsors, shout outs, everybody you got to say hello to out there.
Big thanks to you guys for putting this on. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to everyone at Super Speedway Cup and all my teammates from over there working with me tonight. Seth and Rodney, they were major and keeping me up there, and Cozy there at the end also being in line. Also shout out to Jack Bolt Radio, Travis, Rod and I. We got a podcast. Airs probably, I guess it gets uploaded every Saturday after the Super Speedway Cup race, so make sure to check that out too.
Well, that's Spencer Preet. He's a winner here from Daytona. Spencer, congratulations, and we'll see you in 1 week's time.
Yeah, thank you. See you then.
That's Spencer Preet. I'm going to pass the mic down to Mr. Nolan Scott, who's caught up with Seth the Merchant down there on pit road. Nolan?
Yeah, Seth the Merchant came home in a strong second-place finish. He worked with his teammate Spencer all race long. They pretty much dominated the front of the field despite starting in 15th. Seth, give me a little bit of feedback on your race. You started kind of back in the back a little bit, 15th position. You worked your way up front really early and just pretty much locked bumpers with Spencer the whole race and controlled the field for the most part.
Yeah, I got lucky pretty early to hook up with I forgot who it was. I think the 24 car up on the top line and went from 15th up to the top 4 there pretty early in the race and just stayed with Spencer pretty much the whole time. Then like 30 to go, we got separated, and the top really hadn't worked all night other than right at the beginning, but I think that's because everybody was kind of just chilling out, not really wanting to do anything. And so I just rode the bottom, and the top just slowly kept falling back, and I finally got lucky with that caution, got to restart one car back from Spencer. and the car that was behind him on the restart went up, and we got hooked back up again, just rode it home.
Yeah, I'm assuming, to me, the most pivotal part of the whole race from your position was probably when, you, Spencer, and Rodney made that move on Brandon Bowie. You three kind of left the bottom, left him out to dry a little bit, passed him on the outside. Everyone was able to clear him. Were you guys on the radio with each other, kind of mapping that out?
Yeah, we wanted to get more control of the race, because us three were in TeamSpeak together, and we liked Bowie working with us, but we wanted to get out front so we could feel more control.
It worked out well. You guys pulled it off masterfully. I really thought Rodney might have a hard time getting back in, but you guys really, timed that perfectly. And anyway, I've raced with you in the past. It's been many years, but with Atlanta coming up next week and the new build that's kind of in swing and everything that's kind of changed from the Class A perspective or the Cup car perspective, the cars are a lot looser, a lot harder to drive. Is that something that you think is going to benefit you as we move through the season?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna have a really good shot here coming up at Atlanta. I think it's always been one of my best tracks, so we'll see if we can get it done.
I hope so. Well, it's been a pleasure having you up here in the booth. Anybody you'd like to thank for today's performance?
Just Rod for sponsoring me to run in the league, and P-Money for painting all the cars.
All right. Well, thank you, Seth. Good finish coming home in second place, and good job by your team today. I'm going to pass the mic back over to Cisco.
And I'm going to immediately throw the mic over to Steve Ovens, who's caught up with the driver who finished third. It's Daniel Eberhardt, and he's standing by with Steve.
Well, Daniel Eberhardt starts in the 31st position and drives his way up to third. And Daniel really had a shot at it there at the end, trying to set up some moves there with less than 5 to go. Kind of walk us through what you were trying to put together there.
You couldn't really do nothing. I was a sitting duck. I had Spencer Preet and Sefton Merchant in front of me, and I had Michael Cozy Jr. behind me. Cozy tried it a couple times to do the whole fake out move where you go high and then shoot low, but I play raced enough. I just couldn't. I myself wasn't going to fall for it. You were just sitting there and had the 98 of Dave Washington right behind the 77, and I couldn't. If we could have broke them up, I was trying all I could. I was going back and forth on the 57 up ahead of me, but I couldn't do nothing to him. I couldn't get him loose, couldn't get him squirreled up, so I was just having to sit right there and wait for somebody to make a move.
Spencer, that won the race, was telling us a little bit about how he felt the tires were really giving up there about 15, 16 laps into a run. Was that about the same for you this afternoon?
Yeah, it was about that. It was like lap 20, I think, that it felt good. And so that 25-lap run, if we didn't have that quick caution in between that 25-lap run, made it like a 10-lap dash, I think it would have went well. Kind of takes it out of the just, running a straight line. It takes that equation out of the system, and you have to actually drive the car. You have to keep the car on the bottom of the track. But that's usually what we're good at, is saving tires. But they're super speedway drivers, and we'll go to Atlanta next week, and we'll see where they run and see if they have a good showing at Atlanta, because that's going to be where the true driving skills come in.
Well, you talk about saving tires, you're definitely going to have to do that next race up here at Atlanta. What are you looking at with Atlanta on the horizon here?
You're going to have to be real smooth. The car is really loose. I really like what they've done with the fixed setups, and just making them to where you have to really drive it, and coming from a dirt background, it makes it into the driver's hands, and you can just sling the car around the corners. It's not just flat footing it anymore, and you actually have to earn the way around the track, and earn what you got to do on the track. And you'll see a lot of us will work both lines. There's going to be multiple lanes to go from, and I think the racing is going to be really good. It's going to be, hopefully, with the realistic weather, it'll be hot and slick.
Well, we certainly wish you luck next race out here at Atlanta. But before we get you out of here, of course, want to give you a chance to talk to us about who makes it happen for you on the 90 car.
Yeah, most definitely. All of Aegis Motorsports, Dave Washington for putting all these teams together. It's like 3 separate teams, I think. PowerTech, Aegis is the big logo of the group, so I'll just say that. And it's Dylan Jones, Dave Washington, Kamer, Andrew, Eric Stanford, Carl Shedd, Dwayne Vincent, Steve Durham, Andrew Freenage. It's a lot of guys that make this happen. Carl Shedd, and most definitely, I got to thank the good Lord above, because if it wasn't for him, none of this would be possible. And also my girlfriend that watches every single race. She's a huge support in my life, and that's about it.
Hey, great job out there, Daniel.
Thank you.
There you go, Cisco. Daniel Eberhardt passes 28 cars to go from 31st to 3rd.
That's a long day out at Daytona, but congratulations to Dan and everybody who made this. It was a really, really clean race, Nolan. We didn't see really a huge pile up or anything like that. A lot of clean racing, and really got to dissect the draft model a little bit. And definitely we had a whole lot of fun up here in the booth. And it's all going to go out the window, at least as far as this draft package concerned, when in 1 week's time we head back to the tracks, as Dan said, where it's not just put the throttle down and you actually get to drive a little bit. And we're going to Atlanta here in 1 week's time. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know, for all you guys who haven't tried it, who are watching, give the A car a try now at Atlanta. It's changed a lot harder to drive. We just don't have the grip we used to have back in the day, and I love it. I think it's a blast. I think it's a step in the right direction.
And Steve-O, of course, plenty stuff for us coming up. We just finished the Motorsports Madness show earlier, right before this broadcast, and you can catch myself and Steve-O both on that at 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday nights over on PMN. But still definitely going to be looking on here. Not sure if you're going to be with us all season, but we'll definitely leave the invite out there anytime you want to come back. Hop in the booth, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. What a race we saw here at Daytona, and I can only imagine that you guys are going to see much of the same next week when they get down to Hotlanta.
Hotlanta, yep, and it's going to be hot and slick. At least that's what Dan's hoping. I'll tell you one thing, it's definitely going to be slick out there with those A cars, but do have to, of course, thank everybody behind the scenes making this league possible. Of course, Kyle Barnes, our race director, our director of rules and regulations and all the paperwork. Austin Coop, got to thank Evan Pisoko and James Pike behind the scenes for the PR stuff. And of course, got to thank English Auto LLC for coming on board for being our sponsor here for 2018, and you can find out more about them at englishauto.us, and we'll give you more information about them as we head through the season. But for everybody here behind the scenes on the broadcast that made it happen, for of course Mpasoko, DJ Lion behind the scenes at LSRTV, Laura Lawson as well, for the broadcast crew here tonight. For Steve Ovens, Nolan Scott, I'm Cisco Scaramuzza, saying good night here from Daytona International Speedway. We'll see you in 1 week's time at Atlanta. See you around the turn.